Ever wonder if the real issue holding your team back isn't strategy, skill, or even structure? It's emotionally transmitted overwhelm. Dr. Bearside's research at Yale revealed something that changes everything that we know about team performance. Emotions spread between people unconsciously. When emotional patterns flow through teams, cooperation increases, conflict decreases, and performance measurably improves. Here's the challenge facing leaders today. Change fatigue from endless reorganizations is creating invisible emotional undercurrents that are quietly sabotaging even your best strategic initiatives. Most leaders don't realize this, but every time we walk into a room, we bring an emotional frequency with us. And if we haven't processed our own resistance to change, that resistance spreads. This week, we're going organization-wide. As I promised, today I am revealing the emotional contagion crisis, exactly how one leader's chaos infects an entire organization. I will show you the hidden emotional viruses spreading through companies right now and give you the simple protocol to stop them before they destroy your culture. One leader's unprocessed resistance to constant change can unconsciously transmit through their entire team, creating performance barriers that appear to be strategy problems, but are actually emotional contagion challenges. By the end of this video, you will know how to stop emotional contagion before it derails your team and your organization. Let me tell you about a leader. We're going to call her Jennifer. She's leading her fourth major change initiative in 24 months. Outwardly, well, she presents calm, collected, and she says all the right things. But under the surface, she's bracing. She's bracing for more turnover, for another policy shift, which is exhausting her, it's frustrating her, and it places her in a space of wonder. Are these changes even worth it? She doesn't speak it aloud, but her body, her tone, and her cautious phrasing spreads. She never says it out loud, but her body does. Her urgency, her silence, and her team, they start to mirror it. Suddenly, deadlines flip, innovation dries up, trust erodes. Not because the plan was bad, but because the energy around it was contaminated. There has been an emotional leakage left unexamined. You might think you're hiding your stress, but let me tell you something. You're not. It is leaking, and it is rewriting the emotional script of your team. Like the flu, emotional states can go viral in teams. Here's what I promise to reveal. The hidden emotional viruses that are spreading through organizations right now, completely invisible to leadership teams who are focused on surface level metrics. Because just like biological viruses, emotional viruses have specific transmission patterns, incubation periods, and organizational symptoms. And like viruses that are biological, they spread fastest when people are unaware that they're even carrying them. I'm going to describe 4 dangerous emotional viruses that are spreading through organizations today. The first one, chaos amplifier. This virus originates from a leader who is internally overwhelmed, but externally functional. They're technically competent, but emotionally dysregulated by organizational pressures. What does this look like? Everyday interaction spreads through subtle anxiety, the urgency without purpose, and reactive decision making. The organizational symptoms: increased errors, communication breakdowns, team members feeling perpetually behind, and decision paralysis disguised as careful consideration. The timeline for this would be 2 to 3 weeks before the symptoms become organizationally visible. Virus 2, the perfectionism epidemic. This virus stems from leaders whose self-worth is tied to flawless execution. They unconsciously communicate that mistakes they are threats rather than learning opportunities. This looks like the fear of failure that spreads through micromanagement, over-documentation, and innovation paralysis. The organizational symptoms are declining creativity, hiding problems until they become a crisis, and talent exodus of high performers who feel stifled. The timeline is 1 to 2 months before innovation metrics and engagement scores begin declining. Virus 3, the disconnection drift. This virus originates from leaders who are emotionally withdrawn due to personal stress or role overwhelm. They maintain functional interactions but lack emotional presence. What this looks like? Emotional distance spreads as transactional relationships, decreased collaboration, and just getting through the day mentalities. Organizational symptoms include declining team cohesion, reduced proactive communication, increased turnover of emotionally intelligent team members. The timeline is 3 to 4 weeks before the team dynamics noticeably deteriorate. Last virus is virus 4, the change resistance plague. This virus emerges from leaders who support organizational challenges intellectually, but they carry unprocessed concerns about implementation or timing. What does this look like? Unconscious resistance spreads through lukewarm change communication, focus on compliance rather than opportunity, and subtle energy drains around change initiative. Organizational symptoms: slower implementation, reduced buy-in, passive resistance that's difficult to identify or address directly. The time frame: 1 to 2 weeks after change announcements before implementation momentum begins slowing. Here's what makes these emotional viruses so dangerous. They don't stay contained to the original leader. They amplify as they spread through the organizational levels, becoming more and more intense and even more destructive the further they travel from the source. Do me a favor, drop a comment. Have you seen any of these emotional viruses in any organization that you've worked in? Here's a simple protocol to stop these emotional viruses before they spread. I call it the CLEAR method. The C stands for check. You want to check your emotional temperature. Before entering any team space, you want to ask yourself, what emotional temperature am I bringing? Do a quick self-scan. Physically, are you carrying any tension? Are you rushing or are you calm? Mentally, are there thoughts that are scattered or are they focused? Emotionally, what feelings are you holding about the current challenges? For Jennifer, she might notice that her jaw is clenched and she's thinking, here we go again with another change before the meeting with her team. That brings us to the L, which stands for lighten your emotional load. Take 90 seconds to honestly assess what you're carrying and separate what needs processing from what needs professional boundaries. The lightening process allows you to acknowledge what you are feeling. I'm feeling genuinely concerned about this direction, or this conflicts with my values. It's important to distinguish between personal processing needs and your professional responsibility. I need to work through my concerns and I need to lead my team through this transition. You have to choose your immediate leadership focus. Right now, my team needs me to help navigate this change, regardless of my personal feelings about it. It's important to have reality checks. Sometimes changes do create genuine value misalignments or legitimate concerns about the direction, timing, or impact. Your feelings about these are valid and important. The goal is not to suppress or dismiss your concerns. Rather, it is to prevent them from becoming unconsciously harming to your team while you process them appropriately. So for Jennifer, we could say she may acknowledge, I genuinely question whether this fourth change is necessary right now, and recognize my team needs me to help them succeed with this transition, even while I'm working through my own concerns about it. All right, next let's talk about E. Enter with emotional intention. Pivot from unconscious emotional broadcasting to deliberate emotional leadership. Intentional language shifts from "we have to implement this" to "we have an opportunity." So where can you find the positive in the situation? Maybe from "another change is coming" to "here's what is evolving for us." For Jennifer, she enters thinking, "how can I help my team see the possibility in this change?" instead of "how do I get through this announcement?" Next, we're going to come to A, and that stands for acknowledge what is real. Create psychological safety by honestly acknowledging realities while protecting your team's capacity to succeed. The acknowledgement approach: honor the complexity. This change brings both opportunities and genuine challenges. Validate concerns. It's natural to have questions about how this will affect our work. Express authentic confidence in capabilities. Even when changes are difficult, I have seen our team navigate complexity with skill. Separate change from worth. We do that by saying something like, "whatever we think about this change, our value and our capability will remain constant." The key distinction is you're not pretending every change is wonderful or that all concerns are invalid. You are acknowledging reality while protecting your team's belief in their ability to handle whatever comes. For Jennifer, she may say, "I know this is our fourth major change, and I understand if you're feeling the change fatigue. These transitions are genuinely challenging, and I've watched you approach each one with thoughtfulness, with skill, and with grace. So let's figure out how to make this work for us." R in clear is respond from your leadership center. Lead from your commitment to your team's success, even when you have unresolved feelings about the situation. Centered leadership responses would include creating space for authentic concerns. What are your honest thoughts about this change is a question that you could ask. You want to focus on navigation rather than endorsement. How can we approach this in a way that honors our values and our capabilities? You want to separate implementation from agreement. Let's focus on how we can succeed with this while acknowledging it may not be what we would have chosen. Maintain team agency. What do we need to make this work? The critical insight is your job isn't to convince your team to love every change or to hide your own concerns. Your job is to help them navigate changes successfully or processing your own concerns through the appropriate channels. For Jennifer, she creates space for honest dialogue. She says something like, "I want to hear your thoughts about this change. Some of you may have concerns. I have some too. Let's talk about how we can approach this in a way that feels aligned with who we are as a team." Reality check. The clear method isn't about making every change feel good. It's about preventing your unprocessed concerns from unconsciously undermining your team's success. Sometimes the most important leadership is saying, "I'm working through my own concerns about this, and I'm committed to helping you succeed with it." What happens when you use the clear method? Your team starts reflecting your calmer presence. Conversations feel collaborative. People engage instead of just complying. Soon after that, problem solving will improve. Team members start bringing ideas along with concerns. Meeting energy becomes more productive. This eventually allows your team culture to shift. Other leaders start asking, "what's happening with your team?" They seem more engaged. The reality is, after you implement the clear method, your teams often go from reluctance to compliance to changes with curious engagement. They start asking questions like, "how can we make this work better?" instead of, "do we have to do this?" Implementation time will improve because people are invested rather than resistance. It's important to note there's a positive ripple effect. Just like negative emotions spread, intentional positive leadership creates even stronger contagions. When you model emotional awareness, authentic confidence, and genuine care, Your team doesn't just perform better, they start leading this way with others. Maybe you're asking, what if I genuinely disagree with the organizational change? And that is an essential question. The clear method isn't about pretending to support every decision or suppressing legitimate concerns. It is about preventing your unprocessed feelings from unconsciously sabotaging your team's success and, quite frankly, your success while you work through your concerns. Your concerns are valid. Your team doesn't need to inherit all your internal conflicts while they're trying to succeed with the change. Another question I imagine could be coming up is, what if the change conflicts with my values? And I'm going to tell you, this is real and it is important. And quite frankly, some changes do create genuine value conflicts. The clear method helps you separate your personal processing from your team leadership responsibility. You can work through the value conflicts with peers, supervisors, or coaches while still helping your team navigate the implementation successfully. If you think that your team may already be infected with emotional viruses, I have great news. Teams recover quickly when leadership models emotional awareness and authentic concern for their success. Start with your own emotional regulation and watch how your team's capacity and confidence grows to match your intentional presence. You can maintain authenticity while being intentional about your emotional impact. There is a balance to doing this because authenticity means being honest about the complexity while being responsible about the impact. You can acknowledge the challenges while protecting your team's belief in their capability. You can express concerns while maintaining focus on successful navigation. Here's your challenge. For the next 5 days, practice the clear method before every team interaction. I want you to focus on checking your emotional temperature and lightening your emotional load. Then I want you to enter with intention and acknowledge what is real. You need to practice the complete response from your leadership center. And here's what I predict will happen. Your team, they're going to sense that difference within probably not even 24 hours. They may not be able to articulate what has changed, but I promise they're going to feel safer, they're going to feel more valued and more capable. That feeling will start spreading to others. When you can implement the clear method, you will become the leader who creates emotional safety instead of unconsciously spreading stress resistance. Your team will not just perform better, they will thrive because they feel psychologically safe to bring their best thinking and their authentic engagement to work. This Worthy Wednesday will focus on emotional firewalls, protecting your team from toxic organization emotions. I will show you how to shield your team from negative emotional influences coming from outside of your direct control. We have mastered personal emotional regulation, learned team emotional guidance, and now we're tackling organizational emotional leadership. Wednesday, we will add protection strategies for when emotional chaos is coming from outside your team. Until Wednesday, remember, your emotional state is contagious. Make sure you're spreading what you want to see more of. And never, never forget, you do not have to shrink to lead. You just have to show up emotionally intentional.